We're live. I'll log into, let's see. Hey, welcome everyone. Just gonna get things up and running. Put a message in the chat that we're live. If I can find the chat. Okay.
Chat? What's that? Do we need one of those?
Live. I didn't even put the link in there. I'm like, go find it. Just like we're live. Okay, it does show that we're live here. So perfect. Join. Oh, nobody needs to hear me talking. Okay. I think Sonya's here. So
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get us up and running. So that's all. Okay, so we are live. We are now. Please, if you are joining us, please drop a message in the chat. Let us know where you're from. If you have any questions, also please let us know. We'd be more than happy to answer them for you. We'll do our round of introductions, of course, as we always do. Oh, I think I was. There we go.
Echo.
Little echo. It's no problem. Tonight we're going to talk about AI. This was a viewer. I'll call it a viewer request. It was kind of a viewer-esque chip funnel request. So hi Sandra, welcome. But yeah, people wanted to know about like AI, LinkedIn, how we're using it, are we using it? So yeah, and I've got some fun questions for everybody, and so looking forward to that. Before Roy starts to drive, Roy, I'm going to have you introduce yourself first, and then Shell, you will take it from there.
Thank you so much. My name is Roy Kowalski. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. It's Friday morning, 9 a.m. I call myself the promotional product disruptor. And what that means is that I use my experience of working with Fortune 500 companies like MasterCard, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, Canva, TikTok, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Unilever to assist small and medium-sized companies. And one of the most important questions that I hear all the time that small and medium-sized companies struggle with is we have the most amazing products and the most amazing services, yet we have no idea how to get conversations going with our dream clients. Those are the people that I help. And I utilize LinkedIn as a means to showcase what I do, tell people of how I've overcome challenges for my existing clients to put me in the position that when somebody's looking to engage with a promotional product strategist like myself, that I want to be top of mind. My name is Roy and I'm out.
Shell, you're up.
Thanks. I couldn't hear you say that for a second. I saw your lips moving. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Shell, your LinkedIn cheerleader, and I am really excited to continue helping everybody become better, more intentional, more effective engagers on LinkedIn, and to feel excited and confident to show up and do that in the way that works best for you. I affectionately call myself the LinkedIn cheerleader, as you guys have now adopted that as well. I don't have my pom-poms today because I'm still unpacking here in Seattle, but I can still cheer you on nonetheless and celebrate your wins with you as we talk through some of today's AI tips to effectively not lose your voice on LinkedIn and still make sure that it sounds like you. Mel, back over to you.
Yeah, and last but not least, my name is Melanie Mitchell-Wexler. I'm a career coach as well as a LinkedIn strategist. So what the heck is a LinkedIn strategist? I want to teach you how to utilize this platform in a way that you can be found, seen, and heard. So yeah, today we're going to talk about AI, and this was a question, actually a topic we've never tackled before. I have personally I try to learn as much as I can about AI and how I can use it, effectively. There's a lot more that goes into it than I think people realize. Shell, I'm going to start with you first. How are you using, how do you use AI right now for the tasks that you have?
Yeah, I use AI a few different ways. And when it comes to LinkedIn, so first I want to like say that I don't really use any of LinkedIn's built-in AI features. If I'm going to use AI, I'm Google all the way, so I do use Gemini over ChatGPT. But usually I let me rephrase. I always start with my own voice. I'll start with my idea, my thoughts, what I want to convey, and I start to weave that into a prompt in AI. So you could do this in Gemini, you could do this in ChatGPT or any other AI prompting that you want. Um, I think Grammarly is even considered like an AI tool these days, or depending on how you use it. And even that, like you can you can use your own words and then have it improve it for you. And so that's really how I use a lot of AI in what I do. Like I start with my own voice, and then I give AI prompts to improve that, or to make it more concise, or to make it more clear, more enthusiastic, more captivating, more encouraging. Like I add attributes to it to make it really like drilled in and like as good as it can be. And so, as you know, I can't tell a short story and I go a little bit long-winded sometimes. So when I do put my own words out there, again, I'm using my own voice as the baseline. Um, I'm asking AI to essentially like clean this up, make it more palatable for people so that I don't lose them halfway through the conversation. And that's really the crux of how I use AI. I'm not using it from scratch. I'm not using it to brainstorm ideas. I'm taking my original thought and my voice and asking AI to improve upon it, or to make it better, to clean it up. Um, or to really hone in and zero in on like the key things that I've identified that matter in there. What I'm not doing is again like using AI's words, or letting AI start from scratch and pull things out of the interwebs, or build based on something else. It's coming from me, and when I do that, the reason why I think it's effective is and I think you guys would agree, like the reason I think it's effective is because at the end of the day, even and no matter how much it cleans it up, it's still clearly me. Like, let's be honest. Do you know that I use AI in every single one of my posts? Like, it still sounds like me at the end of the day, because it starts with a baseline of me. So yeah, I do use it to help me improve what I'm doing, and as a tool to do things quicker, better, more effectively, and in a simpler way, so that I don't have to keep iterating over and over and over again.
Perfect. And we're going to come back to a couple of those points, but I want to go to you, Roy, real quick. How are you using AI? Do you use AI when it comes to your post, or do you use it in other ways? What are your thoughts and just kind of general?
No, absolutely, I use it. I think wanted to raise. The one um, is that in with so I, I mix the human element to the chat GPT element, assist to and the second thing, going to use AI and ChatGPT or any of those platforms, you have to tell them what you want them to do. So it's no good just putting the words there that you've put together yourself and then leaving it and hoping they're going to do this. You need to tell them, I want to say this better. I want to be able to do this. I want to achieve this. I want this message to go for this particular reason. So those are my two areas that I concentrate on, is using my words, putting it there and saying, tell me some better ways to do it. And here's the one thing that I've learned. Don't say better way. Ask them for better ways. They'll give you 10 different ways. And then the second part, which is you need to specify what you want ChatGPT or any of those platforms to help you with, not just find words. And I certainly don't let them write a whole post for me. I write my own posts and I use AI to fine tune it and make it better. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. My name is Roy and I'm out.
Love that. Love
There we
that.
go. I'm back.
I outside of LinkedIn too, and then I want to know how you're using it, Melanie, too. Outside of LinkedIn, I'm also using Gemini and AI tools to like simplify my own daily processes. For instance, earlier this week, I was asked to aggregate data in an Excel spreadsheet, and my brain was fried at that point. And I know the answers. I know how to do it, but I couldn't quite in that moment, like, all right, I know what I need to do. I just don't remember where to look for it. And I literally went into AI and I said, I'm looking to sort this sheet. And they can, but like I wasn't going to upload the Excel spreadsheet in there. I said, I'm looking to aggregate this data. Please give me step-by-step instructions so that I can do this from A to Z and get the results that I'm looking for. And literally then my brain didn't have to do any of the braining because it did all the thinking for me, and then I just had to go step by step and follow the instructions, and it did it. So like that's all other ways, going back to your original question of how am I using AI, like I'm not just using it to generate content. I'm using it to simplify my processes in my business and in my life.
I fully agree with both you and Roy on, so yes, I do use primarily ChatGPT has been my go-to. Most recently, I've tested a lot of them out. Had been using a little bit of Claude for a while, and ChatGPT has really upped its game. I'm going to be very honest with you, and it's starting to. But to Roy's point, here's the thing, and I think this is where most people forget or they oversimplify the process of AI is, I get some people that will say, well, I can, as a career coach, I can, AI can write my resume. But here's the question that you're starting from. What are you starting from? What's the content you're starting from? Because if you're already starting from, say, not such great content, it's not going to make it into a masterpiece. And that goes for your content as well. You have to be, to Roy's point, very specific about the prompt. So there does take a lot more effort than I think it's not just like, hey, here's a simple prompt, write my resume. No, you have to, give it an identity. You have to tell it, like, even to our content, who are we writing for? Who's your audience? What's the goal of the post? Is it supposed to be informal? Is it supposed to be educational? Are we supposed to be serious? You have to assign it kind of that emotion that you as a human are looking to, present. So to me, there's a lot that is happening in this space. I'm fortunate next week I get to attend a conference. I'm going to attend a couple of, like, I think at least one AI session. I think I'm going to go to the advanced one. I kind of judge my own self. I'm like, oh, am I really advanced? But I think I'm above beginner. I don't know. I'm probably in the middle. But I am going to go to the advanced. I'm going to just see if I can learn any new tips or things like that. Because to Shell's point, it is an amazing tool to collect your thoughts with, to be very honest. So, hey, I have this, I have this problem. Like the other day, my printer, for example, like decides it just doesn't want to print. And for a while there, I had to turn off the laptop and turn it back on. Then it was printing. And so I literally was like, here is my printer number. And here is like, why does this keep happening? So I think it's gotten, like, I think whatever it told me to do, because it's actually now pulling from the internet. It's pulling, there's a lot of Google-esque features to that. But in regards to, just looking at, where obviously there are those aspects that we want to keep the human-centric piece in this. And that is up to you as the creator to do that. You have to keep the human-centric piece in it. Do I use AI for a lot of my, content? I use it for pieces of how can I say this better? Or, for example, hey, give me some ideas of like topics we could talk about for LinkedIn 101, becoming a LinkedIn rockstar, that are unique, that nobody else is speaking about in the LinkedIn space. That's a very specific prompt I've actually given ChatGPT, and it's created the topics of which we talk about. So, yeah, there's pulling the back of the curtain. Because sometimes, folks, I don't have, like, I'll ask Shell or I'll ask Roy, I'll ask whoever, like, topic. I need help with a topic. And this one was given to us by an audience member saying, hey, could you talk about AI and how you're using it? So to me, the whole thing is very fascinating. I think it's actually a great tool, but when you use it properly and you understand it. So I want to, going to be dropping some things in the, in the chat for the audience to engage with. So definitely feel free to keep the comments coming. But if you have questions, please let us know. We're here to answer them, even if it's not AI related. But I want to ask both you, Shell, you and Roy, this: what is the most cringe-worthy AI generated message you've seen on LinkedIn? Because let's face it, we know we've gotten it. And how do you know it? How do you know? How do you feel it's AI driven? I'll let either one of you take that.
I'm going to let Roy go first.
Okay, well, before I go, I just wanted to say something on the back of what Mel's just said. I was in a conversation, I had a session with Tillman, and she was trying to show me, some aspects of how I improve my LinkedIn journey. And she uses ChatGPT like the Bible. That's how religious she is about it. And the thing that I picked up from her was how specific. What she kept doing was adding, questions to ChatGPT. Roy's looking for small to medium-sized businesses. She didn't just say that. Then she said, between so many employees, between 10 and 25 employees, she kept adding things in that was honing it down, was fine-tuning it to give me the right message. And when she'd finished with it, you can't believe the brilliant piece of content she created, purely by adding in these aspects. I just wanted to highlight that. That was such a critical learning experience for me. So getting back to your answer, Mel, the things that I look for when when I see content and PMs, is how impersonal it actually is, and the fantastic, descriptive words that are being used. So generally the way I'll do it is I will have a look and I'll try and see, like, what are they trying to convey? The most cringeworthy that I've seen are the salesy ones. Those are the ones that absolutely get me going. And how do I know many times that they're salesy is when I respond to it, that same message comes back to me. Exactly the same wording. So here's a a lesson to learn. That is, if you're going to use AI and GPT or in any of these platforms, try and be as authentic as what you can. Let your mind look at every aspect. Have a look at it before you send it out. Don't just prepare something, ask ChatGPT to do it, and then let it go. Make sure that you interact or intertwine your human touch with AI. That's me. My name is Roy, and I'm out.
Love it.
I'm trying to.
What about you? What have you seen?
I don't know if it's like the most cringeworthy AI comment or like message, but like for me, I want people to be like really intentional and careful with how they're coming across. And I get it, like authenticity is like a big thing nowadays. Like, and it is really important. I don't want to discount or discredit that. But like there's people in the AI and LinkedIn space that are creating authentic automations and AI prompts for people to sound like they're real. And so while that doesn't immediately sound cringeworthy, and because I'm on LinkedIn all day, every day, like I like to think that I'm like a kind of a detective a little bit when I'm mining for information and researching people. Like I look for things that are like patterns. Um, and what has been standing out to me is when somebody comments the exact same or fairly similar comment on almost every single post. And if I had just seen a one-off, I'm trying to find an example for you here so I could like tell you what sounds really authentic. Again, there are people that want it to sound authentic, but then you start to see the pattern that like it's the same message every single time. And I'm like, well, if I had only seen it the one time, you could have gotten away with it. But I'm seeing like 20 in a row that all start the exact same way. And now you've kind of lost me because,
But I'm
yeah,
also going to say here, though, I'm going to flip this around real quick, Shell, because this is a great example of where complacency starts to set in. Because let's just take AI out of the conversation. I do have standard messaging that I will send to somebody that has looked at my profile. Now, here's the deal though. If they pop up in a, like somebody, this happened just actually, it happened today. Previously looked at my profile, had sent them my standard message. Okay. I see in the messaging that she's already looked at my profile. Now she's looked at it again. I know automatically I need to change the message. Like I cannot, if I sent her that exact same message, then she's going to be like, well, that is she, she's automated or whatever. And the reality was I'm not automated in that sense. That is lack of this whole copy and paste mentality of which we live in, of like, oh, I'm going to go find 12 posts to comment on. And you're not adding any value to those posts. Now, here's the thing though. What if you actually took, and here's the example where AI is not necessarily, there are things that does save us time on. I'm not going to argue that. But it's not the time saver that a lot of people think it is, because Michelle's given us a great example in the chat of a very specific prompt to get out a command basically. The same goes for our comments. What if we take the topic and say, okay, this person's commented this. Here are my thoughts. How would you arrange that as a comment to this post? And use AI and then, weaving in your own words, as opposed to just this copying and pasting of like, hey, even at a level of great posts, because there's no creativity to that. And if you really are not that committed to that topic, then don't leave great post. Just don't do that. So I think there's a way of like, like I'm at the point of like, if you got nothing else to say but great posts, don't even leave a great post.
I'd rather you just like leave a thumbs up and acknowledge
Give me a
the
thumbs
post.
up. Yeah, just because I'm a person that's like, what can I do with that? I can't do much. I don't want to pull out of you, well, why did you think it was a great post? What about it made it a great, meet me a little bit, not even halfway. Just meet me a little bit further.
Yeah.
I'll come further than halfway.
The thing,
I think that is an example of that, of how you can use AI for your benefit. Go ahead, Roy.
no, I was just going to say, we all know that, love your work, great post. That's a lazy way of engaging. That's not meaningful engagement. That's lazy. And the reason being is go and have a look at 500 posts and go and see how often you see love your work, great post, love this, good work. Think about it. That is just being plain lazy. My take, don't put anything if you're going to put that. Because when I see it, it switches me off that person straight away. Because if they really want to engage on your post, then talk about something in the post. Don't say great post or love your work. So yeah, it's just a personal. And thanks for the opportunity to, to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are at a loss too for like having some creative thoughts, that is okay. We all hit that wall. That's another time to like, hey, here's some thoughts, or here's things that I want to create on using AI, whatever AI tool you prefer. on that note, I want to transition really quickly because Shell, you mentioned when we first started, you don't tend to use LinkedIn's AI tools. I don't either. I have my own thoughts on LinkedIn AI tools. But what are your thoughts on the? I think we're all probably going to agree on this. But yeah. So Shell, start us off. Why don't you use LinkedIn's AI
And
tools?
it spits things back out in such a generic, dumbed down way. And I'm all for simplicity and ease, but I don't want to take away from who you are, your voice, the words that you use, and your personality. And when if you were to take your like the AI functionality of like the headline and you hit the AI button, I'm not going to do it right. Actually, I'll do it right now. Hold on. Let me pull up mine. I'll give you a real time example, right? Like you guys can all go to my
If you want
profile
to
and
share
see
your,
my headline.
I think you can share your screen. You can share your screen, can't you?
You want me to share the screen? Okay, that's fine.
If you want to. You can talk while you're setting it up. So, but Roy, I'll have Roy. You're setting it up. I'll have Roy and I talk about like our love of AI to our love of LinkedIn's AI tools. But yeah, Roy, you gave
Well,
the thumbs down. I'm a thumbs down on that as well. I have to give you permission.
do, do you want
Um,
do you want to swim in the sea of sameness? If you want to swim in the sea of sameness, start using LinkedIn's AI tools. But here's the thing that I can never understand, to be honest with you, is is LinkedIn says we frown upon you using AI in your content, and then they say in the messages, do you want to use AI to send a message? I mean, do me a favor. How impersonal is that? Over to you, Shel.
I mean,
well,
that's true. It's very contradictory.
yeah,
But
it's
even right here,
very.
look,
We're
I
gonna
don't know how
watch
to make this
Shell
bigger on
use
this
these.
screen.
Let me.
Oh, okay.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Okay. So like
I
you
am
can
the
see
worst producer, by the way, ever. So bear
I
with us,
didn't
folks.
I just thought it was going to like share the screen. I didn't think it was going to add that as another tab. Right? Like if I take my headline right now and I click right with AI and I'm not going to hit save on it cuz I don't want it to like do anything. But like look how basic it turned it down to LinkedIn specialist at Shell Station and 3-time published author. Okay. You got that from like okay. Option 2, LinkedIn specialist at Shell Station, personal branding and career development. Option 3, empowering health and wellness professionals with personal branding expertise. Those three, like, if I had nothing else and didn't have a whole personal brand built out here, like, they kind of sound okay, but they don't sound anything like me. They just don't. It's so like watered down that like you lose any personality and like effectiveness that I previously had. So like it really doesn't help me in any way. And that's like you could see it in real time there. I think you have the ability to do it in the about section as well. I'm constantly getting prompt to do it in and I've stopped sharing now and to do it like when writing posts. Like just based on the headline alone, I don't want to do it ever.
I
And
actually,
if I ask it in messaging too, like Roy said, like when I'm connecting with somebody or when I'm responding to you, first off, the super generic like automated responses that they give me of like, "Hey, thanks," or "Appreciate you sharing," or like it's like such automatic responses that I'm like, "Are you a chatbot?" Like, this
it's
who's
very
going to
funny
believe
that
that?
this is the platform that I would literally be like, don't use their tools whatsoever because their tools are so. I'm going to get in trouble with the LinkedIn gods probably for saying this, but this is the reality. Is it LinkedIn does not know how to use its own platform for the way the algorithm works. And I know that was a very convoluted sentence, but I'm going to go back to the headline because having at your company, for example, and this is a question that I get asked a lot in the career space, because a lot of people, for example, will put like ex Amazon, ex Google, we want to play off these big names. here's the reality. If you've worked at these former companies, that's great, not dismissing the value, but you will come up in a search because that's already in your profile. People can find you based on the previous or current company you're working at. If I type in the word Google, it's going to still give me anybody that has the word Google in their profile. I can filter by company. So you don't need to use those character count towards, you can replace those characters with a keyword that can help you come up in a search, add in value to your headline. So the fact that that is the standard, and you can tell this is how their programming it's been programmed. That's the other thing that lacks the ability, whereas ChatGPT, which we've used as an example, Gemini is the exact same way, so is Claude, is if it outputs something to me, like ChatGPT the other day, I was trying to write this email and I had a lot of times, honestly, I will literally, and Shell will make fun of me for this because, well, I did do voice messaging with her today. So I did do that because I was trying to multitask.
It was a lot of voice messages too. So.
Yeah. I was on a roll. Shell's like the only one that gets voice messages from me, but but I am using the voice feature on ChatGPT while I'm working on stuff, and I'll be like, okay, I have to send this email. Here are like the 5 points. Make sure that I've got to include these points. Just give me a rough draft so I can then edit it and be off. It's usually like a very basic email, but it's something specific that I'll just honestly, I'll word vomit on it. I really will. And it will generate a very professional email. But the other day it generated something that was super flowery. It had all these extra words in it. How I knew a client was using ChatGPT was because she was like, well, what if we use visionary leader in my summary on my resume? And I said, okay, totally get it. I understand where you're coming from, but the way I cringe at that word because of, as a recruiter, my first thought is, if I ask you how you're a visionary, can you respond to that question? Most people cannot. But I also knew that was a way they were using it because I actually went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, let's beef up the summary. Give me some examples. That was one of the first examples that popped out of it. So I knew, but I didn't give it any other prompts. I just said, let's beef it up. And that's what it gave me. So you have to, again, I didn't give it industry. I didn't give it her level of expertise. I didn't give it anything but a very basic prompt. So basic, you have to put in a little bit extra effort if you're going to use AI tools to generate content, your LinkedIn profile. But I am a believer in it, and I do think we should all be learning how to use these tools effectively.
Bill,
Go ahead, Roy.
I wanted to share something that I experienced a few weeks ago. There's a media company that I do work with, and there's a tool that they use. I can't remember the name of it. If anyone is interested, and just send me DM. But what it was, you asked it. I want to work with Roy Kowalski from Out There Branding. Tell me why I should work with him and what are the things that he's good at, and then inputted it into the app, and it spat out like a scraping of everything about you. But here's my point. When I read that, I realized there were things that were unclear. So I could go into my website and fix this. I could go into my my LinkedIn profile and about section and fix that. And so the point I'm making is that we can use AI to improve what we've got, but we have to tell it what first, and then take the results and work with that.
I absolutely, yeah. There's so many things that it can help you with, and and it is an amazing tool. I mean, I love to play around with it with silly questions sometimes. Like if I think what was it, Shell? It was like, you're my best for if you were my drunk best friend, how would you describe what I do? Like, I mean, I love to play it. I just love to see what it like
Yeah,
comes up
that was a
with.
good one.
And truthfully, I'm gonna tell you this, guys. If you're having a bad, here's a random tip for you that I don't know how this will help you, but um, honestly, if you're having a bad day, ask ChatGPT why you're so perfect and great.
I mean,
It'll cheer
I
you
did a
up.
post like that.
Yeah.
I think
So
it was like Deanna Russo that like had the drunk best friend one. And I was
yeah.
like, okay, cool. Like, I'll make a version of this. But then there was somebody else's that was like, okay, I wrote, I asked Gemini to roast me. And I said, you can be mean. Because, like I really wanted it to be like honest and like, all right, tell me what you think about me. Like, roast me. And after the first one came back and I was laughing. I had a good laugh at it. And it was pretty spot on, except for like one thing was like a blatant lie. And I literally reprompted it and said, this sounds great, but while I don't mind you embellishing things to get your point across, you cannot lie. Shell would never say this. I would never say this. And they revised it and then it came out even better. But yeah, like you can ask AI to celebrate you and show you off to the world. Like, especially if you've been building up prompts with your voice to create other content, like it doesn't forget. It's learning more and more about you as you do it. So of course it's going to know things to now, unless you like clean the prompt or wipe it or are using a thing completely new every single time, it's going to remember based on the things that you've told it before. So it has stuff to build from. And again, if you're doing this all along, not pulling from the interwebs, unless it's pulling specifically things about you from the interwebs, like, then it can't get the information wrong because it's aggregating you. So yeah,
Well,
like
that's the other thing too is like ChatGPT is really up their game, so you can actually do web searches. You can actually search. You can actually ask it to search for to cite specific sources. You can actually prompt. You can actually click on that. I do pay for the I don't know the premium version of ChatGPT. I don't know what or whatever the paid version of it. Um, but you can actually ask for it. I think that, we've seen just a great, I mean, absolutely have seen an improvement when it comes to AI tools on outside of LinkedIn's AI tools. Let's just leave it at that. I put a question in for the audience was fill in the blank. AI is great for blank, but not for blank. So I'm going to ask both Shell and Roy that question. AI is great for what would you say AI is great for?
do you want to go first?
Yeah, I always wait for the ladies to go first, but that's fine. I'm respectful.
Boy, I get to
You're,
ask a
you're
question.
filibustering while I think about my answer.
No problem. I understand where you're coming from, Shell. um, yeah, I think it's great for a combination of human and this technology that is available to us. So I think one has to embrace it, but not use it exclusively without human involvement. For me, that's really the essence.
Love it.
Yeah,
Okay, Shell, you're in the hot.
I
Oh, I forgot. You don't like hot seat.
the love seat. That sounds
You're
bad
up.
too. I don't like it. Sure. Uh, I would agree with what Roy is saying. I think AI is great to keep me from overthinking. It helps me simplify things. It helps me um, clean things up, iterate on them. Um, it takes the pressure off me having needing to have my brain be powered on at every single moment because it does a lot of the thinking for me when I prompt it properly. Um, but I don't want it, but it's not good for creating things out of thin air. Like, you really have to know what you want to get out of it and prompt it accordingly. And so a lot of times when I am prompting, I have an idea in my mind of the outcome that I want from it. And maybe my first prompt doesn't get it all the way there. So I am constantly going back in and changing a word in the prompt or adding in another bit of information or going back in and writing back to AI. Again, I use Gemini. So I would go back to Gemini in this case or ChatGPT or whatever else you're using. And I'd say, actually, I want to remind you that this little bit of information is important to you. Don't discount this. And then it can give me spit back out like another iteration based on the added information that I give it. And if you're not sure what to prompt it, you can ask it that too. I'm trying to XYZ and I'd like to get these results. Please ask me questions that would help you do this so that you can prompt yourself effectively or whatever it is. Like, you can ask Gemini, ChatGPT, or any other AI prompt to ask you the questions in order so that it has the information that it needs. If you don't know what questions or information to include, let it ask you the questions so that you don't have to think about, what do I need to tell it?
I just want to give
So,
I want to
yeah,
give a quick shout out. So I had tagged a friend, recruiting friend of mine. We were both in the recruiting world for many years, but his name's Brendan Wright. We've been connected for ages, but one of the things he's started to do is pretty regularly posting. Sometimes they're really fun chat, or like, I know he primarily uses ChatGPT, but you could do any of these. But he has he'll post some of the fun things there, and one of the things that he will do, so he'll post a lot of the fun, kind of comments and things or prompts there. But he also has been posting a lot of very helpful prompts as well, and showing you how to use them. So I tagged him there because I was like, hey, go follow him. And so thanks, Brendan, for responding. He's got a new post coming out in 10 minutes. So I told him drop the link there so you guys can check him out. But yeah, I always like to find people too that I'm kind of like, are just like a lot, just like us, the average person that is using these tools. And how are you using these tools? I think there's there's the data kind of guys out there and the really kind of techie, geeky guys, which we need. We need all of that to understand this space. But sometimes they're a little bit above where we're using these tools right now. So I think it's important. So just wanted to give him a shout out really quickly and say, definitely check his prompts out. He's putting them out pretty much on a consistent basis. So some good content there. So, but yeah, to me, AI is definitely, I think it's just a great tool to be able to, a place to collect all of my thoughts and put them down into one succinct thing. I get a lot of clients, for example. This is another way you can, use it for your work, but also use it for job searching. Is I get some clients that have just a ton of information, and truthfully, it would take me ages to, like, first I'll read all of that, and I don't need 100 pages, right, for a resume. I don't need it for even a LinkedIn profile, but I can give it, and I can ask, can you give me a summary of this information? I need massive highlights of accomplishments and achievements with which each company this person's done it. Again, I'm giving very specific prompts. I'm not just saying, hey, read it and tell me what it said. Which, would you not have loved to have this when we were in school? I mean, seriously, we would never have had to read a book.
It replaces Cliff Notes and Spark Notes for sure.
Seriously, kids are never going to read a book again. Seriously, they're never going to know what a book is. They're never going to read.
I wanted to just to throw into the mix. I'm at my back of my office now, as you can see, not in the car. But I've just thrown into the chat. The app is called Perplexity. Do yourself a favor, just go and spend 2 minutes on it, and you'll be absolutely shocked as to the kind of things it actually spits out.
It is like all of these tools are amazing, guys. I mean, they're really truly amazing, and have them in your toolbox. And I think that's the thing that I would say. I mean, we're at 6:50, so probably start to kind of wrap up here in the next few minutes or so. But my thought is like these are tools that we should have in our toolbox. I said this on my Tuesday night show, Career Coaches on Call. There's a lot of there's this thing called fear mongering that happens in a lot of news and things of that nature, like to make, and there's a lot of things that people say AI is going to take away jobs, and there will be some jobs that will become irrelevant, but that doesn't mean you have to become irrelevant in your industry, because if you can be the person that's learning this, guess what, you can be the person that teaches this to the next person in your organization. You could be the person that introduces this to your organization or to your business or whatever bucket you're in. So it doesn't mean you become irrelevant. You become more relevant and more important, but you have to be, first and foremost, don't be afraid of it. Like, don't buy into this like, oh, yeah, I mean, it will take some jobs, but that is the life cycle of, just of industry. That's the life cycle of jobs. As everything is evolved, there's jobs that don't exist today that existed 20 years ago. Don't ask me what they are, because it's Thursday and I can't think that hard. But I know that.
Well, that's why you can use AI to do the thinking for you.
And I might just do that while you're talking. Actually, I'm going to go to Roy first. And Roy, what is your topic this week for your Friday LinkedIn Live? Why I ask AI what those jobs were.
Well, I have to check with AI as well what it is. In fact, my AI in my events.
Well, while you're both checking,
yeah.
I want to come back to what Linda is asking in the chat. She said, "How do you give ChatGPT information about you to help it with those fun prompts?" I can tell you specifically what I prompted Gemini, because I pulled up that Gemini history for the roast. And so, based on what I said before, um, I I'm Gemini and ChatGPT for me are always like learning and aggregating the information about me as I keep prompting over and over again. So I always start my prompts when they're related to me or my audience or LinkedIn, because those are the core things that I am using it for. When it's related to those things, I always start my prompts with, based on what you already know about me, my target audience, and how I help and support people to engage more effectively on LinkedIn, please, and then insert the rest of the prompt there. Like I always, because I want it to, I want to remind you, or that prompt, you already have this information in you. You don't have to go looking outside of this. So I always start with that as my baseline and then insert whatever else I want it to do. Now for the roast specifically, I started with that. And then I said, write a comedic roast of LinkedIn cheerleader Shel Shapiro. You can be very mean. And that was the first iteration of it. Like, I didn't really give it that much to go on, except that I said, based on what you already know about me, my audience, and how I help them. Okay. And then it spit something back. And then I had to iterate it a little bit because it wasn't exactly what, like, it was good, but it wasn't good. So I went back and I said, hold on, where is it? Let's try that again. You can stretch the truth, but you cannot lie. Shell would never use words like synergy because it used words that didn't sound like me. I don't want it to pull from something that isn't me. And so it did it again. So I taught the same way that I teach LinkedIn how to show me better things. I'm constantly teaching AI, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT or any other prompt thing, how to do me better. Right? Like, I'm using it to learn from me, to give me better information, and to make it easier for me, to simplify my life.
I will say
now,
this,
that was for the...
if you use it on a daily basis, it starts to pick up your own writing habits. And this kind of sounds a little scary if you want to go deep. By the way, video stir clerk, non-existent. Thanks, Netflix. Shout out to Netflix there. And photo lab technician. Remember when we used to take our photos, our film to, and yeah, extinct.
I mean, I even did that to get into college because I had to like take all my art and like have it
Extinct.
professionally like shot and like then yeah, I had to send in like that like like a slide
Yeah.
deck. Like I literally had to send in slides that they could watch on a projector of my portfolio.
So those were
That was
just a
very
few. Those
expensive.
are
You
the
don't have
ones
to
that
do that
popped out
anymore.
at me. There was a couple of others, but
I
to
do have I do have my information.
okay, I want to finish.
Fri-
I want to finish Linda's. I would just want to tell Linda one thing really quickly. So you have to train it, and you have to be consistent. So like one of the things you can do is I want to work with you. Like I treat it almost like an assistant. And by the way, I get mad at it often and yell at it. Like the other day when it wrote really something crappy, I was like, "What is wrong with you?" I and I was like, you need to get your act together and get on the job because I was really frustrated because it was not spitting out good stuff. I was like, seriously, what is wrong? I get really frustrated. I was getting frustrated with it and acting as if it was a real person. But, and one of the things though is getting really like, hey, this is what I'm going to give you my information for my LinkedIn profile. What does this say? If you read my LinkedIn profile, what does this tell you about me? And it's actually kind of a good exercise. Like Roy always says, get people to look at, ask AI, just copy and paste like your LinkedIn profile, just dump it in there and see what it says, how accurate it is.
I'm pretty sure you can also put in the link to your
You can
LinkedIn
also do that
profile and
as
have it
well.
pull
So
from.
it can read links because it'll go there. But you have to use it pretty frequently for it to start recognizing patterns. How do you speak? It will go off. And again, this is where the human piece is. You do have to read what is being written and not just take it for face value. So, Roy, you're up. What is your topic for this Friday?
yes, so Friday 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the room is now called Disruptive Business Leadership. And our topic is harnessing the power of both strengths and weaknesses in leadership. So, we're going to talk about how important it is to lean into people's strengths and also how to help them overcome their weaknesses. Our hosts are myself and Ilya Francis, as well as Martin Stark. And we're happy to announce that from the following week, we have a fourth host. And if you need to come to the session to learn who that's going to be. So Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Disruptive Business Leadership, harnessing the power of both strengths and weaknesses in leadership.
I love it.
That's disruptive in itself. You're making people wait for the information. I love it.
Love it.
Check,
Okay,
check in, check
folks.
in, check in Chat GPT if you can get the answer.
But yeah, I'm gonna before I head to Shell, I'm just gonna say, yeah, Linda, start using it because it really is a powerful tool to help you enhance and like we all get those brain fog and those and Gregory even put in like somebody used it for the March Madness bracket. That's something I totally would do. I like doing that, just by myself because I love sports. But that being said, play around with it. Just have fun. And see what you've written on something and then ask it, compare the two to what, hey, how would you rewrite this? Sometimes I get stuck on a bullet point for a client and I will rewrite it and rewrite it. And I will ask ChatGPT, I'm like, okay, here are 2 or 3 examples of what I've written. How can I succinctly say this and get this XYZ point across? So I'm still using it.
Or which of these 2 or 3 is the most
Right.
effective, and then it tells you the pros and cons of
And I'm
each
still
one.
using my voice, my words. And so sometimes my clients will say, are you using AI? And I am very honest with them. And I will say, yes, I do use AI. Let me tell you how. Because I also want you as like my clients, I want them to understand how you can use AI as well. Okay, so Shell, wrap us up for the evening because I have a client at 7 tonight. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
going straight
Yeah.
through. Long day.
I mean, I've so much more that I could say about this AI prompting topic.
Ooh,
So maybe we'll have
I
to
was
do a
going to
part
say
2
maybe we'll
on
do a
this.
part 2 and share some prompts that people can use and do some real exercises
and
on
and all the different ways, because like I don't just use it in one area, like not like it's not just for content, it's not just for my LinkedIn profile, it's not just as like for my messaging or for my clients. Like there's so many different ways that I use it in my daily life. And like I think across the board, ideally mostly on LinkedIn, but like across the board, I think a lot of people will find it helpful. So yeah, I think we should do another one at some point. If you guys would like that, let us
And I will give
know.
a shout out to
If you
my
have more
friend
questions,
Brendan. Well, sorry to interrupt. I'll give a shout out to him. If he wants to
yeah,
join as a guest with us, that he can share some of his prompts as well. I know he's had some really great prompts. I know he's a trusted source. So just a shout out to Brendan if you're still watching or you catch this. We'd love to have you as a guest as well.
yeah. And in the meantime, let us know your thoughts. If you try it out, let us know. If you want feedback on some of the prompts that you're using, feel free to share them with us, tag us in your posts if you're doing it, or share them with us privately in the LinkedIn 101 chat. That way we can make sure to engage with you on it, or give you feedback, or get a second pair of eyes if that's what you want to learn how to do better. Of course, we love that you're here. We love that you come and support us, and we love supporting you. So we'd love to see you back here next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Please tag a friend or bring somebody with you who might also find LinkedIn 101 becoming a LinkedIn rockstar helpful for them. And as usual, if you have not had time to look around the room, in the chat or on the event page, please go back and check out who else was interested in joining this conversation. It is a great place to start for you to have more aligned conversations and connect with people. So, with that being said, we'll see you back here next week.
Good night.